Alex Ansary here. This is a evening podcast. Doing this at the completion of several podcasts, and just kind of want to let my thoughts run free and express themselves. But without a doubt, we're in a time of great deception, and not just the recent examples that I've given. There's plenty of things taking place, plenty of deceptions that I'm not covering because I'm not looking at those deceptions. It's very important to pull away from the deceptions and be able to sit in the truth. And to be able to be, to the best of your ability, in a state of peace, regardless of how much you think you've accomplished in this world, or how valuable you think you are at the moment. People have been propagandized to hate themselves and to hate everything about the society and to not be grateful for the things that are good. And that's why they are going to continue to lose those things. Okay, some talk about God testing us, but people just kind of miss the obvious examples of maybe where something somewhere is testing the human response. Are we going to be easily misled into these false wars that result in the deaths of millions of people? Are we going to say something while there's time? Are we going to be brave enough to do the right things? Are we going to use the technology that's been given to us, that we are grateful? We are grateful for this technology. We are using this technology, if we have access to it in a mindful way, to share the truth. And they come back, though. The memes of this world comes back with the threats that we could end up. And so we live in that world. We live in a world where this is going on, where we are faced with certain truths that we just can't keep to ourselves. We have to share this knowledge. We have to share this truth. And we don't have a choice or say in the matter, or whether or not we're going to be threatened with being put on a list, if we're being deemed a threat for whatever reason. We just have to take that chance. We just have to take that chance. In a world where, ironically, the one meme they're also going after, I've never really spoken about this, is the idea of believing in God and having faith. And so I've taken like a warped version of that and called it jihad, and also financed radical Islam in parts of the world. And so, the idea of actually truly having faith in the Creator has been warped and, has been given a bad name, if you will. A lot of people have no idea what it's like to actually have a connection with the Creator, to not be afraid of imprisonment, to not be afraid of foreign armies and invaders, to understand there's a larger picture here. Now, we may not understand the larger picture, and we should know that we don't necessarily have the mind of God, but should we seek to have that direct knowledge, to have the understanding, to understand the perspective of the Godhead, if you will? Absolutely. And that's a different world to live in than a world of thinking that the way of God has been put into a book, be it the Quran, be it the Bible, or be it the Torah. But throughout human society, human ideas have been shared on paper that have helped us evolve forward. And we go through these epochs of time in which there is a lot more knowledge available to the human species. And we go through these cycles of the sun. We see the links between the cycles of the sun and the cycles of human consciousness as we cycle forward in time in this reality and in this matrix, propelled by the light, powered by the sun, literally, in this world. So consciousness should evolve to the point of discernment and understanding the cycles and staying out of these bipolar worldviews. Down one worldview, one side of the coin, you have the rapture. You have the New Age ascension, or what people think is ascension. And it's the idea that some of them have of the spirit evolving out of the body. If they just raise their vibration to a certain frequency. And there have been many that have come and gone over the last few decades and talked about certain dates and have described this ascension as a literal event during a literal time. And then, of course, we have those that have predicted 90% of the world's population will be reduced, extinguished, removed from the planet some way, population control, or from the extreme environmentalist catastrophobia perspective, that we will not have enough resources or oil or something by a certain point in time. In some cases, they bypass the greater reality the corporations have created, not just corporations, but ruling power structures, created certain circumstances and perceptions of reality of scarce resource depletion, or the illusion of resource depletion, the illusion of scarcity, to keep people in that state of mind of lack and controlling their environment to where they do lack affordable clean water or affordable organic food, access to that. So much has been monetized. So much has had that, almighty snake dollar sign. They've made that their number one thing in life, thinking that there's real value in that, even though it's so empty. And a lot of us have known people that have accumulated a great amount of wealth, or perhaps what they think is the right wife, or this, that, or the other, or the right husband because of these things, in the illusion of security, only to find themselves a prisoner to that illusion of security, relinquishing their freedom for a relationship or a job or a situation that they think is benefiting them. And so in a world that is stuck backwards, inverted, speaking the truth doesn't yield a showering of rose petals. It comes with tacks and thorns and tomatoes and dirty cans of dog food. People say, we don't want to hear that. What do you mean there's a connection with the sun? When there's more solar activities, there's more drive-bys in major urban cities. Also, going through electromagnetic pollution from the smart meters and the cell phone towers. All the toxic thoughts. People are like, what do you mean there's a connection? What do you mean things are interconnected? So, I take a deep breath and go, okay. There's certainly a lot for me to learn on this planet. I'm no rocket scientist, but I see it. This is a real trend. Others figured this out before me, before I was even born. Yet other humans can't figure this out, even people interested in astrology, for example, or the most hardcore conspiracy theorist. You know about full moons, about star signs, but you haven't gone down the rabbit hole of the solar flares and the cycles of war, civil unrest, protests, births and deaths, a lot of babies being born, mass migration patterns of human beings from one part of the planet or near a certain magnetic influence or area to another. So keep in mind, we're being propelled now forward from these changes in the sun, and other changes in the universe are affecting the sun. And our Earth's magnetic poles are in a gradual state of shift. And all this is affecting the planet, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, and consciousness. It's all interlinked. It's all connected. It's actually because of these times that we're in that I think that it is important to take time to ground, to meditate, maybe take some notes of that recent video where I talk about the introduction to meditation concepts, specifically deep breathing, Vipassana meditation, grounding yourself, running your earth and cosmic energy. Of course, this is if you're open to the exercise. And using the rose technique of creating and destroying. Grounding the aura, bringing your aura in. Your aura or magnetic field, your human magnetic field, which you have, just like the earth has a protective magnetic field. And if you're interested in some deeper thought on the human magnetic field, check out the lecture by Manly P. Hall, which you can find in its entirety on YouTube. And it makes the connection between morality and the things that we do and our magnetic field, and the strength and quality of our magnetic field having an impact on our reality and the things that we experience in this world of so much energy, the things that we attract and the things that we keep away from ourselves. You know, those are times where sometimes things could be really backwards, where we're attracting the wrong things and we're not attracting the things that we should. I do not subscribe to everything that's been said about the law of attraction. A lot of people have used their own theories about that to tell people, well, don't be negative, don't talk about that because we don't want to create that. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding that some of these mainstream New Agers have about creation and cause and effect. And in particular, you know, the conspiracy in general, the power structure. You know, just by exposing it and shining the light on the things that we need to do, we're not creating more of it. So that's part of that mania that is in that world of ascension within this lifetime, to the point of the spirit leaving the body in a unnatural way, but in a supernatural way, going up to a spacecraft in the cloud. Without a doubt, you are exposed to people, either in your relationships, your parents. They may call themselves atheist, just spiritual, agnostic, or religious. And most of them are going to fit into one of the two categories. They're not looking at the cycles of time, and they're fearing the end as we know it really quickly, to the point where most of them don't even do anything, and a lot of them have developed Facebook addictions, sharing, in fact, quite a bit of fake news. At this point, not even realizing it, acting like their brains have turned to butter. And then others are acting like they're on a strange form of MDMA and fairy dust that, you know, they never seem to come down from the cloud. Everything's ascending all of the time. We're becoming more and more conscious, and you never see the human being one day in their life ever protesting the invasion of Iraq or Afghanistan. Oh no, they're not tapped into that reality. Oh, they're enlightened now. Oh, and then so, you know, we've seen this archonic infestation of human consciousness. We see the amount of people that have been infected by the archonic thought forms. The people chained to their lower selves, that chain that holds them to this world, the hate, the anger, the racism, blaming the whites, blaming the Hispanics, blaming the Arabs, blaming the Persians, blame. They chain this world. They chain themselves to this world. They know not what they do. They know not they're ungrounded. They're being controlled by these forces, that they're food for something else. They just laugh and they mock. And they chain themselves to this world. See, people aren't looking at the big picture. They are not zooming out. They are not visualizing this like a camera. Just zoom out. Just please, just zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. There is a much larger picture. You know, getting caught up in these counterfeit revolutions ain't going to help us. Talking shit on Facebook, hey, got all these guns, ain't going to help. Having an allegiance to Obama or Trump isn't going to help. Blaming either one of those individuals for your problems or racial discrimination that you may or your people may have experienced isn't going to help you. There's a bigger picture spiritually as to what we're doing on the planet. This is like some weird, you know, petri dish experiment. I'll tell you what, you know, there are technologies that humans have, things they've done to rats to understand human psychology. I mean, some fairly advanced things have gone down, as primitive as our society appears to be. Some pretty amazing breakthroughs have taken place in the world of science with understanding what a brainwave is, how to affect brainwave states, magnetic fields, how to create natural, unnatural magnetic fields that can harm the human body, as well as knowledge of magnetic fields that can heal, that can cure cancer. All that knowledge does exist, as well as the technology to use frequency and other technologies to destroy life forms. So all this stuff's being developed. And by the way, for years people have said, well, we need free energy. We need free energy. It's like, hey, how about we stop using all this technology to create weapons of mass destruction, to hurt each other, to kill each other? How about using technology in a more efficient way? Because, they have free energy weapons. They have some pretty crazy fusion stuff. They have drones that never have to come down from the air because they're solar powered. I don't know if they already have the lasers where they just blast a laser where it's powered by the sun, where the weaponry itself, the ammo itself, is powered by the sun. But if we're not there now, we most certainly at some point can be taken there in the future at the rate that technology is progressing. And so we cannot let our technology surpass our humanity. And that is what we've seen with Facebook and the rise of social media. It's important for content creators to know and remember that your content is your content. We should create more content, but not let Facebook and YouTube be the one-stop shopping, dumping spot, because it conditions us to keep dumping our content in that corporation's website, on another website, giving that website our energy as those websites vampire on the psychological and psychic and even spiritual energy and essence of the users. There's something going on with these social media websites, and then keeping people in this artificial world. I'm not perfect, nor do I claim to be perfect, but I seek balance between my real world and my virtual world, but aspects of my virtual world helps my real world. That would be my part-time job for the website where I post news, and I got confirmation that I am going to continue to be an employee in 2016, which gives me a lot of hope for this year. And so, there's time to go out and just sit underneath the sun, which I spent some time doing today and yesterday, and sitting in silence, and also unleashing my creativity in these types of podcasts. And this one, I'm not ranting about anything that I'm angry about. I'm literally trying to connect the dots with the different ideas that I have, regardless of the imperfection of the delivery itself. It's the ideas that are bulletproof. It's the idea whose time has come. It's the idea itself that is important, which we're focusing our attention on. The interconnectedness with these different issues, and ourselves, and the universe, and everything that's going on, and these wild times that we're living in. And time brings perspective. Time, experience brings an upgrade in understanding, in outlook. And so I made this video on Costilla County, which is really about thinking outside the box of Costilla County, and my own desire to explore more of America, but more of Colorado. And we go through these cycles of turbulence. I would like to see a period come where things calm down, where, in fact, hopefully there is some unity amongst the different peoples on the planet. I don't see it as some conspiracy to create environments, to promote environments where people of different racial backgrounds get along. Unfortunately, we're in a very hateful world right now, where there is a very popular meme out there that the agenda is to color up the world. And as I've said in recent podcasts and videos, I've never seen so much racially charged propaganda as I have seen in the last few months. And it's so out there and dangerous that it, of course, includes people that are outside the box of Muslim, that could be considered Hispanic or other. Because there are some people that are starting to succumb to the illusions of separation. They're trying to figure out whether people are safe or not based on their appearance alone, or whether they're a Muslim or not based on their appearance alone. And perhaps we can see more profiling of last names that have certain sounds or are associated with the Islamic world. And so that's part of living in this world and overriding the propaganda that it's okay to just be afraid. When you know that it's risky and you do it anyways for the better good, to me that is evolving. So I'm not going to let the nihilist worldviews out there take me away from speaking the truth. And the truth that I'm speaking is that what we do here on the earth matters, plays a huge part in our soul's evolution in the spiritual biological matrix. I'm going to be writing more about this in my lifetime, the spiritual biological matrix, a spiritual perspective on some of these world events and how we do create a reality, but also how some of these things and oppressions that are going on now that we would not describe to be positive are of our own creation and something that we're connected to. We're not just victims, and that includes ending up here on the earth. You know, this whole earth that we reside in could very well be a matrix of our own making. And that's why we're here. And it's through breaking the matrix, it's through breaking through the spell, it's through dismantling the illusion that maybe on some level in the cosmos we played a part in creating. It's through the action of dismantling the system of control, which is wrong, which is immoral. It's through doing that in the face of such risk and threat that we may be able to break through the veil of this matrix. It's just an idea, but it's an idea whose time has come, and it's an idea that we will come back to in a future podcast. For now, Alex Ansary here, signing off from rural Southern Colorado, January 3rd, 2016.